Welcome. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day to join us for the next session of Ticket Training Tuesdays. First of all, I want to make sure everyone can see my slides. Anyone confirm?
Yeah, I can see them.
Very good. Thank you. Yep. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. Basically, we have these sessions every Tuesday where we will talk about, discuss, demonstrate various topics for Tikit for our community members and customers. Hopefully that'll help you bring more value to Tikit in your environment. And for today's topic, we will be covering tasks and approvals. Quickly, our agenda, quick welcome, a few housekeeping items to cover, and then we will talk a little bit about tasks and approvals before we get into the demo, and then we'll leave a little time at the end to wrap up with some questions. So I'll start. Hello, everyone. My name is Ben. I'm a customer success consultant here at Syrison, mainly provide professional service engagement for Tikit and the other Syrison products. So, nice to meet you all. Next, I want to highlight a couple resources, mainly our email address, help@tikit.ai. If you need anything Tikit related, any help, assistance, please feel free to reach out via that email address. And also, if you want to give us any feedback, specifically for any upcoming sessions, any topics you want to see covered, feel free to reach out at help@tikit.ai. And I will put that in the chat now. Both of these links are there. And secondly, the Tikit Training Tuesday knowledge base article, you can find that or help.tikit.ai. Here you can keep an eye on upcoming sessions that we have planned. You'll also have a list of the previous sessions we've already provided. So if you didn't get a chance to make it live with us, or you want to go back for a refresher, you'll have links to those recordings via YouTube. You can check those out there. Okay, so I guess we are ready to get into it. So tasks and approvals within Tikit, need to start off and clarify there are a couple different ways to use tasks and approvals in Tikit. The first of which are ad hoc tasks and approvals. Those are the ones we're going to be covering today. You can also use tasks and approvals from within a life cycle. We haven't covered life cycles yet in this series, but we'll be going over life cycles soon. And at that point, we'll cover more in depth about using tasks and approvals from within a life cycle. But for today, we're just going to cover ad hoc activities, one-off tasks where we can add to any ticket type. And then just a little more tasks and approvals when it comes to licensing. Important to know that we can send an approval to any end user in the organization without consuming an analyst license. So we know that there's probably lots of users in your org that might need to offer an approval to do something, but they don't necessarily need to be a licensed agent. So we allow you to send an approval to any user. When it comes to tasks, however, they will need to be a licensed analyst. You're really doing work when it comes to tasks, and that would need to actually go to an analyst. Then adding a task or an approval to a ticket, like I said on the previous slide, we can do this more of an ad hoc process to any ticket as long as we're not using a life cycle. So as long as the life cycle hasn't been applied to that ticket, then we can add these one-off activities. And then number 3, action methods. What I really mean by this is just the various ways we can interact with a task or approval once it's been added to a ticket. And some of those ways through the analyst portal, my work, you go into the analyst portal, it will highlight any activities that you need to complete. We can also see this directly within the context of the ticket. And I will highlight this, of course, when we get to the demo. So covering these very quickly before we get started. The end user portal. So for end users, we have a more narrow scoped version of the portal, and where an end user could see any tickets that they've raised, and if they do have any approvals as an end user, they can action that approval through the end user portal. And similarly with Tikit Virtual Agent for approvals, they'd get that notification, they get action it there as well. For tasks, we would send that via the Tikit app in Teams. You complete the task there, and then finally, if emails are configured in your environment for approval notifications, those would go to email and would look very much like the Tikit Virtual Agent approvals. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too much. You can take a quick break if you need to ask any questions now before we get into the demo, and feel free at any point to just interrupt, come off mute, send a chat if you have any questions as I go. No. Hearing none, I will switch over to the Tikit user and we will start a quick demonstration. Okay. Anyone confirm they can see my screen?
Yep, I got it.
Thanks, Justin. Okay. So I think first we'll start with a task. We'll create a task in Tikit, and we'll see the various ways we can interact with that task and where it might surface itself throughout Teams and Tikit. So I'm going to switch to, Lynn. Lynn is a user in my test environment. She is an end user, so not an analyst. She's not consuming a license. And Lynn needs to raise a ticket. She's having an issue. We're going to say a licensing issue specifically. We'll pick on Adobe. So she's going to interact with Tikit Virtual Agent as an end user to raise this issue. Okay. We're probably not going to get a knowledge response for this particular issue, which is to be expected. So at this point, we could add a little more context or go ahead and submit that request. And we're just gearing up for this task we're going to add. So we need a ticket to add that to, of course. So we've created that ticket. Within Tikit, we have the confirmation here in Teams for Lynn. And I'll also take the opportunity to show you the end user portal. Also see she's raised that ticket and can see that on her end. So now I will switch over to Lee, who is working on the service desk. So Lee's going to see this ticket come through. He sees it here from Lynn having that Adobe licensing issue. He might also see that come in, of course, through the service desk support channel. Again, there that ticket is. So at this point, he has a couple options. He would review the ticket and say that, of course, he's not able to assist, but maybe he knows someone who can with this licensing issue. We could start right here from within Tikit. We could add the activity, a task and approval from here, or of course we can open the ticket and we have the ability to add it here as well. So why don't we do it from within the ticket web portal, and we're going to figure out who needs to help Lynn with the licensing issue. I think we are going to assign that to Henrietta. So he thinks Henrietta could help with this licensing issue. I'll put title for this task. We'll create this task, and we can see it immediately populates here within the analyst portal. And if we switch over to Henrietta, there's Henrietta. Should have received a notification to the Tikit app in Teams for that task approval. So there it is. And of course, from right here, we could action that task. We could complete it. We could also maybe look at my work. Maybe she saw the task come through in her work pane. There it is. She could open it. We'll take Henrietta straight into the ticket where she could see that task, populate here, and of course, could complete it. But before we do that, I wanted to show one thing, just in case. Say you have an agent, for some reason, maybe they don't see that there's a related task or an approval, and they tried to resolve the ticket. So to be clear, there's a little work still to be done, but what's going to happen if we were to try to resolve it at this point? We're going to get this notification pop up, just kind of guardrails put in place to say, hey, there's still work to be done on the ticket. You might want to review, in this case, a task that hasn't been completed yet. So as an analyst, you have the option here to override that. You could just confirm you want to resolve it, but probably not. You want to go back and wait for that additional work to be done. Additionally, if the analyst needed to kind of override and approve the task on Henrietta's behalf, you could do that here, or maybe Henrietta wasn't the correct person. We could assign that to someone else. In this case, Henrietta was the correct person, and she is going to go ahead and approve that. Let's do that from Tikit Virtual Agent. Completed. We'll say the license is all good, and it's been updated successfully. We got that notification back. And then if we switch back to Lee, the analyst working the ticket, we will see that task has been completed. Open that back up. And there we go. So at this point, we could do whatever else we needed to get through the ticket, add some more context. In this case, we'll just go ahead and resolve it. Good. And at that point, Lynn should get the notification. She was the end user that originally assigned the ticket, that the ticket is resolved. Okay, well, that was a quick look at tasks. Any questions on that before we move over to an approval? No? Okay. And for the approval, I think we're going to start with Henrietta. And the scenario come up with for her, say she's traveling, she's traveling for work, she loses her laptop or gets stolen, and maybe she needs to issue an emergency laptop purchase request. Well, in that case, of course, Henrietta, being a licensed analyst, could raise the ticket directly through the analyst portal, but she's probably on her phone at this point, so it might be more convenient just to open up the Teams app and interact with Tikit Virtual Agent as an end user. Put that in. Tikit Virtual Agent, respond back. We don't have a specific knowledge article on this issue, but we can go ahead and submit the request. All right, so we move back over to an analyst, Lee, and he sees the request come through from Henrietta. Of course, he's probably not the one to approve something like this, but maybe he knows who could, maybe a manager, department head, someone in purchasing could approve this purchase for Henrietta. I mean, he might choose to change the priority. Sounds pretty important. Maybe we'll go ahead and set the priority to high. But we will also need to send an approval as part of this request to someone that could actually offer the approval. In this case, I think we're going to pick Lynn. Since Lynn is not a licensed analyst, Lynn is just an end user, but say Lynn works in purchasing and can still offer an approval for this request. We could enforce a response from all recipients. In this case, it's just one person, so that wouldn't really change anything. And put this approval in. Now we've added Lynn as the approver for this incident. Hit save. And if we switch over to Lynn now, we should have a notification from Tikit Virtual Agent. You can see that she has been added as an approval for Lynn for the laptop purchase. And again, we can approve or reject right here from within Teams, or we could go to the analyst, or I'm sorry, the end user portal, and we should see the approval pop up here as well, which it does. So at this point, we can just say, okay, good, you can make the purchase. And if we switch back to Henrietta, we will see notification that her approval request was approved. So that might be enough. At this point, Henrietta could go and make that purchase before the ticket gets closed out entirely. But in which case, switch back to Lee. Ticket, we can see that it has been approved, and we could go ahead and do what we need to do to close out this ticket. Okay. Finally, Henrietta would get the notification that Lee has resolved the ticket, all's good, and you should be approved to make that purchase. Okay, well, that does it for approvals. Hopefully I didn't go too fast. We still have a few minutes. If there's anything specific you want to see, I'd be happy to show you anything within Tikit or elaborate more on that process if you have any other questions. Well, hearing none, I think that concludes this session. Thank you all for joining us. Be sure to follow the KB article page for more information, the upcoming sessions. We have a couple scheduled, so be sure not to miss that, and we will see you next time. Thank you, everyone.